Hello and welcome to News Central Now. I'm Darshan Usman. The top stories this hour. National Assembly proposes legislation to sanction non-compliant states on new minimum wage. Finidi George reportedly resigns as head coach of Nigeria's Super Eagles. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa re-elected after coalition deal. Details of these stories and more shortly. Let's begin by telling you that the National Assembly has resolved to ensure states, local governments and organized private sector stop defaulting in the payment of the approved minimum wage. We understand that the National Assembly may also consider season allocations of states and local governments that fail to comply with the new minimum wage. This is as the federal legislature announced plans to include a clause that will provide clear sanctions for defaulters of the new minimum wage bill that will be passed after receiving the wage award bill from President Bola Tinubu. The federal government and labor unions have been at odds over the new minimum wage, with union leaders demanding 250,000 naira. Meanwhile, the federal government and the organized private sector countered with an offer of 62,000 naira, while state governors maintained that they could not sustain a minimum wage higher than 60,000 naira. Now, joining us to discuss this is a public affairs analyst, Theophilus Akatuba. Hello, Theophilus. Thank you for joining us at this time.
Yeah, good afternoon. And it's a pleasure to join you this afternoon.
Good afternoon. All right, now let's start by knowing what you make of the new minimum wage impasse. I'm talking about the offer of, the government and what organized labor is asking for.
Well, my opinion is that it has always been a very difficult issue everywhere in the world where minimum wage issues are concerned. The workers are always fighting and agitating for livable wages, whereas the government is always looking at the economic situation and the very many circumstances that confronts it, especially the fear of the impact of the minimum wage on the economy in terms of employment, because it is easy to fix the minimum wage, but if it is something that places an undue burden on the employer will choose not to employ, especially now that we're in the age of robotics, AI, and artificial intelligence, that all manner of machines are substituting human labor. So the government is being careful and the workers are making a just demand, but then there must be an equilibrium. I feel uncomfortable that we are discussing national minimum wage at the time that even the federal government has taken the governors to court over local government autonomy. So if local governors are autonomous, local governments are autonomous, they should be able to determine their minimum wage based on circumstances that confront them, because the living conditions in Lagos are not the same with the living conditions in Delta or Zamfara or somewhere in far Akwa Ibom or So we must have that conversation. Now, that is my opinion in respect of minimum wage conversation, and I think we must be dynamic. We cannot have one rule fits all.
Okay. Now, in talking about the National Assembly resolving to ensure that states and local governments, and organized private sectors do not default in paying that particular minimum wage when it comes out, governors have actually said that they cannot afford the last proposal of 62,000 naira. In fact, they even said they can't afford 60,000 naira. That's the last proposal made by the federal government, with some states yet to even start paying the 30,000 naira wage, which took effect since 2019. Now, where does that leave labor with the present day reality?
Well, it's a challenge for labor, but I believe that the governors should be allowed to determine the minimum wage that they can pay. That also will determine the flow of labor, either from them or towards them. We run a federation, and one minimum wage across the country has a tendency to make make it to be a disadvantage. Someone who lives in Lagos, who pays higher rents, higher cost of living, higher cost of commuting, should not be seen to be receiving the same wage with someone who lives in an area where those costs are not the same. However, a lot of the governors have overemployed. A lot of them have employed for political reasons. And they have a very huge wage bill that is not commensurate with productivity. And so they are saying this because they want to retain the workforce. I feel that you cannot, because you want to retain the workforce, keep others in perpetual poverty. In my opinion, the minimum wage of Nigeria is a wage that incubates poverty. That's why over the years, Nigeria has been in the business of poverty development instead of making people prosperous. Everything Nigeria has done has kept people in poverty. Our minimum wage is the lowest in Africa, is the lowest anywhere in the world. It's a disgrace, and it's actually callous. So the governors must consider all this and stop saying they can't afford it. Those who have not been able to pay, because governors and many of the states are not actually productive, they are not viable, because citizens live in states. If there are productive activities in states, Nigeria will prosper. But the governors are still behaving as an unproductive system. Because if you pay more, you should expect more. Why are you afraid of minimum wage? Does it mean that you believe the workforce cannot produce more than they are producing currently when they are properly motivated? So I do not agree with the governors, even though what they are saying, to a large extent, is true that they can't pay because they've been unproductive.
Okay, yes, that's why a lot of people have, a lot of analysts and, Nigerians alike have actually said, the economy needs to be moved to, a production economy. And even at that, some are also of the opinion that, governors have refused, that word, to pay the current minimum wage of 30,000 naira due to lack of sanctions. Now, would you say that this move being considered by the National Assembly is a welcome development?
It will fail flat. It's just an exercise in futility. You see, you cannot do that, and the governors will defeat the national. The law will not pass. I do not believe you have to force them when they do not have the resources. There's a lot of implication. If you approve 60,000, many governors will lay off workers in order to be able to pay this money. Private sector might lay off workers in order to be able to pay any minimum wage that is not that does not take cognizance of the realistic economic situation, the realistic buying power of the people. Because no matter how you want to manufacture, if the people do not have the buying power, your company cannot flourish. You are in the media, for example. There is a minimum at which your media organization can pay. Otherwise, they rely on advertising for revenue and every other source. If those sources are challenged economically, how do you make your money? So we need to make the economy first a productive economy. To move it to an economy of production required motivating the workforce. So the minimum wage is a critical subject. I believe that 60,000 is quite small compared to economic realities. And I do not expect anything less than 100. And that the governors cannot pay is a challenge. I believe we're going to have a lot of problems if we do not manage this process very well, and we emotionally fix a minimum wage that will further result in loss of jobs.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Theophilus, for speaking to us on this. We appreciate you for your time.
It's a pleasure being here with you. Enjoy.
All right, moving away from that, President Bola Tinubu has called for stronger collaboration between Nigeria's law enforcement agencies and the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation in the fight against cybercrime, terrorism, and other related crimes. Now, according to a statement issued by his special advisor on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, President Tinubu urged this on Friday during a meeting at the State House in Abuja with FBI Director Christopher Wray. President Tinubu characterized the visit of the FBI Director and his team to Nigeria as a sign of the long-lasting partnership between Nigeria and the United States in combating financial crimes and terrorism. He stated that his administration is diligently striving to eradicate terrorism, cybercrimes, and sextortion. Now, the Nigeria Customs Service has intercepted large consignments of illicit drugs, including cannabis indica and prohibited codeine from Canada and India. Comptroller General of Customs Adewale Adeniyi, while addressing newsmen in Lagos, said beyond revenue loss, some port operators and officers of the service are suspected to be involved in the illegal drug imports. The intercepted drugs include 3 plastic drums of cannabis indica, 46 bags of cannabis indica, 877 packs of codeine syrup, and 82 cartons of other drugs valued at 4 billion naira. The CGC said intelligence indicated that several terminals were involved and there is abuse of procedures involving customs officers. He also commended the Customs Area Controller of Tin Can Port, Dera Nadi, for the seizures, which, according to him, is evidence of dedication and hard work.
Some ongoing attempts by some criminal elements using a network of customs agents, Nigeria Customs Service officers, terminal operators, to undermine our system. We have seen recently a growing number of containers that are either not examined in the port before they are released, or those that are stamped down into terminals. They left the port on Transia, but they neither got to those ports, to those terminals, and some of them found their ways into the premises of the importers for whatever nefarious activities or the other. This amounts to a situation where our processes and our procedures are deliberately compromised for some selfish.
Now to election matters. In a town hall meeting held in Borno State, a diverse group of stakeholders have come together to reflect on the outcomes and learnings of previous general elections and advocate sustainable peace and strengthen democracy. They highlighted the need for early preparation and increased sensitization and awareness creation on voter education and the Electoral Act 2022. News Central's Umari Kirawa completes the report.
It's been over a year since the general elections in most Nigerian states took place. This multi-stakeholder engagement seeks to reflect and share indigenous approaches deployed during the last election, highlighting key successes and lessons learned for improvement.
We are supposed to start now to start educating people, advocating and sensitizing people about the need, because many of us, many of Nigeria are losing faith in the electoral process.
We need fund, 1. 2, we need logistics. Logistics like how? If you recall, National Orientation Agency is from former MAMSA. If you remember those days when MAMSA is there, each and every local government has vehicle that will go nooks and crannies of the local government to sensitize people. Now, even at the state headquarters, we have only 2 vehicles.
Some of the stakeholders stressed the need for sustained engagement with grassroots communities to build trust and confidence in the electoral system.
Maiduguri at that time was hosting over 2 million IDPs. Most of these people lost their voters' card, and we are very grateful to the federal government of Nigeria and the Borno State government and the National Electoral Commission for reintroducing the registration of eligible voters.
INEC is all inclusive now, and there are other priorities given to persons with disability. They were given a priority that they can have a quota to participate during election.
The creation of a technical working group called Peace Hub Committee, comprising representatives from all organizations and agencies to serve as focal point for all electoral matters, was also suggested.
This meeting that is supported by the European Union, the basic thing that this meeting is helping us achieve is to link the various structures, and that collaboration is to help us start this process now.
The stakeholders expressed commitment to working closely with the relevant authorities to ensure the recommendations from the town hall meeting are incorporated into the ongoing efforts to strengthen electoral processes and promote sustainable peace and democracy. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umar Kirawa.
The news resumes after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now to judicial matters. An appeal court sitting in Port Harcourt has directed all parties involved in the appeal filed by members of the Rivers State House of Assembly loyal to FCT Minister Nyesom Wike to maintain status quo pending the hearing of the substantive suits. The 27 pro-Wike lawmakers, led by Martin Zamaule, had defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress, APC. They had gone to the court to stop moves to declare their seats vacant. The three-man panel of the appeal court, which sat virtually on Friday, adjourned the hearing of the substantive matter to June 20th, 2024. To discuss this, I'm joined by legal practitioner Tunji Abdul Hamid. Hello, Tunji. Thank you for joining us at this time.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be with you.
All right. So now the Federal High Court sitting, in Abuja, ordered all the parties to maintain status quo in Rivers State. What do you make of the ruling in light of how heated up the state has been on the last few months?
I think that is the best in the circumstance because what it means is that parties are required to stay the way they had before the matter was in court. In other words, if you recall, the matter went to court by the new speaker, who says who was asking the court to restrain the 27 lawmakers and Amuli led House of Assembly from parading themselves as members of the House of Assembly and from parading themselves as speaker. So based on that, there was an executive order that they should not parade themselves as members of the House of Assembly again. They went to court and they went on appeal in that regard and asking the court to stay execution of that judgment pending the determination of the appeal. That was what the court looked into. The court looked at the motion for stay of execution and believed that, look, if he should grant that stay of execution, indirectly is granting the order in the main appeal. Therefore, he has entered into the substantive suit. And in our law, you cannot determine substantive suit at the interlocutory stage. So the court has done the right thing by asking them to maintain status quo, pending when the main appeal will be determined. So which means, as it is today, Amewuli and the 27 others are not recognized as members of the House of Assembly, APC. And that their seat is currently declared vacant until it's set aside. So the appeal will be determined to determine whether or not they will still remain or not. Right. While that is going on, we cannot stay execution now until that is done.
All right, now, Martin Zamaule, on behalf of 26 others, had challenged the decision of the Rivers State High Court, which vacated their seats and also restrained them from sitting or carrying out any legislative function. Now, what is your legal disposition, or what is your disposition to legal moves like this when the Constitution is clear on matters of political party defection?
You see, though the matter is in court, I will try as much as possible to look at the merit of the case. But there is no way we'll talk about it and not talk and make reference to the law. We are in a country where people don't obey the law, and that's why we are where we are today in this issue. The law is clear. Once you declare for a party other than the party that brought you into power, you are to a particular member of the House of Assembly or National Assembly member, your seat must be vacated. You don't have to be told. But we are in a country where people want to drag the issue and then bring an unnecessary argument because they were of the opinion that, look, they fall within their case falls within the exception in that case. What is the exception? Exception is that if there's a division in the other party, they are claiming that because there's a dispute as to who is the right secretary of the national secretary of the PDP, there's a division and later they can defect. They've defected and this was done even openly. And I'm even surprised that a court in Abuja will say that though it was a arbiter dicta, not part of the judgment per se, that their seat has not been declared vacant because of the fact that there was no any membership registration to show that. That does not matter. That case is different from the one the court is looking at. This one, there's a publication, there's a video, there are audios, there are videos, there are everything on ground to show that they actually defected from PDP to APC. So relying on the previous precedent, which talks about for you to determine whether somebody has defected or not, the register of the party must show this and that. The facts are not the same. In those other cases, the man did not declare openly. There was not any open declaration. There was not any video. And he denied it later. So in that regard, for you to say, yes, it clearly defected, you must show evidence. But in this case, there are clear evidence that
all right, still talking about, still talking about, evidence and how clear the law is. Would you say it is constitutional or it is constitutional to claim that neither President Tinubu nor Governor Fubara has the statutory powers to stop the Independent National Electoral Commission from conducting fresh elections to replace the 27 Rivers State lawmakers that defected? And this is, based on the agreement that was initially reached.
Yeah, that agreement was not in line with law. There's no agreement as far as I'm concerned. Just a mere paper understanding between parties, and that's not the law. In fact, I have often maintained that, look, you can't resolve a constitutional matter by way of a political agreement or by way of an amicable resolution. The law is the law. You must follow the law. So whatever that has been signed between the president and Mr. Fabora or any other person, it's just a mere paper or understand. It has no basis in our law, and they cannot. None of them. Nobody can stop their seat being declared vacant except the court. The court is the only organ that can stop them from being there, that can stop them from their seats from being declared vacant. No agreement. No matter, the president cannot override the law. The president is not above the law. The agreement has no basis under our law. So you cannot determine constitutional matter by way of an amicable resolution or political solution. When people talk about the need for us to have a solution to this, we are burying the law, and we are making things difficult for ourselves. You don't do that. You don't sort out issue of constitutional matter by way of political solution. It cannot work. It can only work for temporarily. Thereafter, we will see the situation and thereafter.
All right. So what do you think would eventually play out in Rivers State, as the power tussle revolving around the governor and the FCT minister, and their loyalists continue to linger?
Now, without prejudice to the matter in court, what I see is that, look, governance will suffer in Rivers State. That's one. Two, these people, the 27 lawmakers, I don't see them coming back to that House of Assembly. If we are going truly by our law, they cannot come back to that seat as member of House of Assembly without prejudice to the case in court. And unfortunately, as it is today, Rivers State, Rivers State people are the ones suffering it because the governance will have to stand still. Because there is dispute now as to where the governor will take his request to if he wants to seek anything from the House of Assembly. Though he has recognized the new speaker, I can't remember his name now, Victor or something. He can go there. But although there are also arguments as to whether or not 3 people can now form a quorum and start sitting as member of House of Assembly. They can, as far as I'm concerned, because as far as I'm concerned, those other people, they were elected there, and the other people absented themselves from the office, and their seats have been declared vacant, which means the quorum now, as per the Rivers State Assembly now, be based on the 3 of them or 4 that is left in the House. The other section that people are relying on regarding for there to be a constitution that for House of Assembly to be constituted, there must be not less than 1/3. That is to say, you cannot say you have a House of Assembly from the start if all the constituencies are not up to 1/3 of that. Not that there must be 1/3 from the start to the end for you to say you have a House of Assembly in place.
Right.
So as it is now, since they are left, their seats can be declared vacant and other people can be elected to replace them. For me, the only problem I have is that governance is suffering in Rivers State. But whether they will come back or not, I think, except we're not following the law the way it should be, they should not come back and will not come back.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you for your expert's opinion on this issue, Tunji. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Now to security matters. Troops of Operation World Punch have killed 6 bandits terrorizing the Birnin-Gwari general areas in Birnin-Gwari local government area of Kaduna State. Commissioner of Internal Security Samuel Aruwan, in a statement, said all the villages in Birnin-Gwari general areas, including Maidaro, Ngade Alha and Dogon has been successfully cleared by the military. Aruan added that 2 of the bandits were neutralized at Ferunrua and 4 of them were slain in Saulawa. According to the commissioner, materials including 1 GPMG, 2 AK-47 rifles, 6 AK-47 magazines, and 51 rounds of 7.62 special ammunition and 1 motorcycle were recovered during the military's clearance operation. The Nigeria police have raised an alarm over alleged irregularities and corruption regarding the recently released names of successful candidates by the Police Service Commission in the 2022-2023 Police Constables recruitment exercise. Now, according to a statement signed by Olumuyiwa Dejobi, the Force Public Relations Officer, the list posted on Police Service Commission webpage contains several names of selected applicants who did not participate in the recruitment process because they did not even apply. The statement claims that several names of candidates who failed to the physical screening exercise, the computer-based test, or both are on the public list. The statement goes on to say that the most concerning claims are those of money transactions and dishonest behavior that resulted in outcomes where unqualified individuals have been shortlisted. Still talking security, the Armed Forces of Nigeria on Friday announced the deployment of 197 personnel for the peacekeeping mission in the Gambia. The Chief of Operations Nigerian Army, Major General Boniface Sinjen, disclosed the deployment in Jaji, Kaduna State at the graduation of troops of Nigerian Company 9 Economic Community of West African States mission in the Gambia. 197 troops began pre-deployment training on May 4th at Martin Luther Agwai International Leadership and Peacekeeping Center, Jaji, Kaduna State. According to them, the PDT is in line with the commitment of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja, and the Armed Forces of Nigeria in deploying quality peacekeepers in support of international peace and security. The Nigeria Info Generative Pre-trained Transformer aims to revolutionize information access about Nigeria through an AI system that combines information with natural and safe interaction, creating a seamless and trustworthy bridge between technology and users. News Central's Bettina Nweli has the report.
Lagos on Friday hosted the unveiling of the Nigeria Info Generative Pre-trained Transformer. NIGPT is Nigeria's version of ChatGPT, but with precise set results about Nigeria for Nigerians.
The systems that are out there are not controlled by us, the information systems that are out there. And also the fact that most of this data is entered from North America. There exists a little window for, information bias. So we said, and we decided right there and then that we need to provide and democratize Nigerian-specific information and bring it to the fingertips of Nigerians.
NIGPT is a revolutionary project designed to harness the power of artificial intelligence to revolutionize various sectors. The aim is to develop sophisticated AI solutions that can be seamlessly integrated into industries such as healthcare, finance, education, and agriculture, among others.
With NIGPT, I think it shows that a local team can actually build some of these systems, train the system on the data, and give relevant culture-specific answers, which is what we need. As you saw during the demonstration, there was a difference between the ChatGPT and the NIGPT. The ChatGPT gave more general answers, NIGPT gave more specific answers.
The rise of artificial intelligence has sparked fears of widespread job displacement. Lagos State Commissioner for the Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, Tumboso Alake, spoke on how AI might impact the workforce.
What AI is going to do is create new areas of value. And if people are retrained, they can get new jobs. So it was just like during the Industrial Revolution. There were a lot of people driving horse and carriages. But when cars came, people learned how to drive cars. That created new jobs. So it's the same thing I believe will happen with the advent of AI and all its antecedents.
Artificial intelligence is poised to significantly boost productivity and efficiency across various sectors. AI can automate repetitive tasks, freeing up human workers to focus on more complex areas. This powerful technology can empower Nigerians in fields like agriculture, healthcare, and finance, paving the way for a more prosperous future. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
Thank you, Bettina, for that report. Now, Nigeria is an import-dependent nation, yet not a shipping nation, despite its huge contribution to global trade. Playing marginally in the industry, it is on record that no fewer than 90% of shipping companies owned by Nigerians have either completely shut down their operations or are barely struggling to survive. With an estimated annual cargo throughput of 150 million metric tons generated, and with freight earnings in excess of billions of dollars in our international trade transactions, 95% of this income is earned by foreigners, with job deprivation to a lot of Nigerians.
The time it takes to move cargo out of the port, it's one. By now, if we have been progressive from the previous administrations or perhaps the previous times, we should be hitting 24 hours. But what you have today is about, if you are so quick and lucky and everything flows, you should be talking about 1 week. We're talking about 1 week. Yeah, 7 days. But 8 hours should be the least. That's only when you can actually say that you're doing fine. So what are these challenges? What are these bottlenecks? It ranges from multiplicity of government agencies doing same job to the service providers like the concessionaires, talking about the terminal operators or terminal operating companies, as I wish to call them. Their lackadaisical attitude, their nonchalance attitude. At times, they are just their selfishness. The shipping companies themselves, they all care about what they make and not about trade facilitation.
Find out more about how terminal operator negligence is causing delays in cargo clearance, the impact of fluctuating dollar customs duty, drop in cargo volume, and the influx of foreigners in the freight forwarding business is affecting indigenous participation. Watch Maritime Radar on Saturday, 7 p.m. and a repeat on Sunday, 1 p.m. on News Central TV. Coming up after the break. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa re-elected after coalition deal. We'll bring you details after the break. Stay with us. The news continues in Southern Africa, where President Cyril Ramaphosa has been re-elected after a lengthy first sitting of parliament, which lasted over 12 hours. He faced off against EFF leader Julius Malema, who received 44 votes compared to Ramaphosa's 283 votes. Chief Justice Raymond Zondo commended the members of the National Assembly for their conduct after a prolonged nomination and voting process. Democratic Alliance leader John Steenhuisen congratulated Ramaphosa while pledging his party's support to the government of national unity. EFF leader Julius Malema said his party accepted the result but remained opposed to the government of national unity. In Pretoria High Court, the Pretoria High Court has sentenced the Nigerian national Jude Ikenna-Ijegulu from centurion to life imprisonment. Now he is to serve 2 life terms for 2 counts of human trafficking, 2 life terms for 2 counts of rape, 6 years direct imprisonment for 2 counts of keeping a brothel, 10 years direct imprisonment for using services of a victim of trafficking and 2 years direct imprisonment for being illegal in the country. The court ordered that his name be added to the National Register of Sexual Offenders. Ijegulu was running a brothel with his partner Botas and in Centurion when he fetched a 26-year-old complainant in the matter from Rustenburg, where she was held captive and supplied with drugs by unknown Nigerian nationals. To discuss this, I'm joined by Regional Spokesperson, National Prosecuting Authority, Lumka Mahinjana. Hello, Lumka. Thank you for joining us at this time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so Lumka, what more can you tell us, about the sentencing of the Nigerian, in South Africa?
So basically, he was sentenced on Thursday with the counts that you've already alluded to and the sentence that you have already alluded to. Basically, what the man did, he ran a brothel in Centurion where he would then buy girls and then keep them in his house, feed them drugs so that they are addicted, and then render them to people as sex slaves. Basically, that's what he's been sentenced for.
All right, so but why do you think it took so long for the suspect to be sentenced?
So they were arrested in 2018. The trial started in 2019. The state was already finished with its case and closed its case when the man fired his attorney. And then after he fired his attorney, a new attorney had to be appointed for him, a state attorney from legal aid. Then what that basically meant was the case had to start all over from the beginning, and the transcript of what had happened needed to be given to the new attorneys. And also in 2020, we had issues of COVID. So matters were not sitting frequently in court. So even the judge, when she handed down the sentences yesterday, on Thursday, she did indicate that the delays in the matter were not the fault of the state, were actually the fault of the accused persons.
All right, I actually read his sentence, and I must say that it was quite a lot, for lack of better words. But how big, can you tell us, are these human trafficking crimes in South Africa?
Like you alluded, the sentencing, the sentence was to send a strong message to people who are doing such criminal activities in South Africa that the law does not play. And these matters are a lot in South Africa. You find this year alone, however, the state is fighting. This year alone, we've already convicted we've finalized 2 cases in relation to human trafficking. But it is a big deal that the state is trying hard to fight. Presently, there are current cases on the roll, especially the High Court relating to human trafficking, and some of which include South African nationals, others include Nigerian nationals. We are not selecting who is being prosecuted when it comes to issues of crimes or human trafficking for that matter.
All right, well, thank you so much, Lumka, for speaking us and giving us an update on this particular, issue. Thank you. We appreciate you for your time. Now, in other news from around the world, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he hopes a joint summit in Switzerland on how to end the war in his country will swiftly help usher in a just peace. Now, Zelensky said at the start of the 2-day gathering that he believes participants will witness history being made at the summit.
I believe that we will witness history being made here at the summit. Thank you for your support, and may a just peace be established as soon as possible. Slava Ukraini!
In the world of sports, Finidi George has reportedly resigned from his position as head coach of the Super Eagles. Now, his decision came on Saturday, just days after the Nigerian Football Federation announced plans to hire a foreign technical advisor. Toyin Ibitoye, a former Eagles media officer, confirmed Finidi's resignation on his X account. Finidi was appointed head coach on April 29, 2024, succeeding Jose Pesero, whose contract had expired in February. During his brief tenure, Finidi led the team to a 1-1 draw with South Africa and a 2-1 loss to the Benin Republic in the 2026 World Cup qualifying series. Now, as of the time of this report, there has been no official statement from either Finidi or the Nigerian Football Federation regarding his resignation. Football legends like Emmanuel Eboe, Sol Campbell, Robert Pius, and Mark Fish have arrived in Abuja for the maiden edition of the Atom Charity Champions Cup. The charity match, an initiative of the Atom Foundation, will be held on today at the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja. Now, the match aims to raise funds and awareness to help at least 10,000 Nigerians, particularly the elderly, address vision problems caused by refractive errors, cataracts, diabetic retinopathy, and glaucoma. Other football legends expected at the charity match include Brazil's Dida, Austin J.J. Okocha, Nwankwo Kanu, and some Nigerian ex-internationals. Some members of the current Super Eagles squad, such as Kenneth Omeruo, Samuel Chukwueze, Kelechi Iheanacho, Joseph Yobo, Wilfred Ndidi, and Chidozie Awaziem, will also participate in the match.
Outreach in Maiduguri, we were able to do surgeries and give glasses and whatever that is needed, post-surgery, and all of that to over 2,000 persons.
When we are talking about the foundation to help people, it's very, very important, to come, So, as I said, I'm happy to be here, to be honest. My sister, I'm happy to be here.
I think it's important to have this this day. I'll be ready tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be on the pitch or as a goalkeeper because I'm still recovering. Nigerians, please come out. Abuja, come out and support and have fun.
And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. We told you that National Assembly has proposed legislation to sanction non-compliant states on new minimum wage. We also told you that Finidi George has reportedly resigned as head coach of Nigeria's Super Eagles. Finally, we heard that South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has been re-elected after a coalition deal. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.